The priestly creation story is a story about how God created the heavens and the earth and humans in 7 days. This was called the Genesis story, but the Genesis story had its own Genesis story. The authors of the Pentateuch were inspired by a prevailing ancient narrative called the Enuma Elish. These stories don't completely copy each other, yet they both share many basic conceptions. In the biblical Genesis story, we learn about how God created everything with his divine supernatural powers. Without using anything as a foundation, God created everything from nothingness. As it reads, "In the beginning, when God created the universe, the earth was formless and desolate. The raging ocean that covered everything was engulfed in total darkness, and the Spirit of God was moving over the water. Then God commanded, 'Let there be light,' and light appeared. God was pleased with what he saw. But Enuma Elish was different, but still similar. As it reads, "In the beginning, when neither the heavens nor the earth had a name, there was nothing but void water and chaos. One day the water separated into sweet fresh water which would be known as the god Apsu, and the water full of salt known as the goddess Tiamat. You can see that in the beginning of both stories, that the world consisted almost only of water, and one of the first actions of creation was the division of water into two parts. Afterwards they made the sun and moon, and in the Enuma Elish the sun being Marduk, and the moon being Nanna. And the last creatures that were made in both creations were the humans. And surprisingly enough, the humans were created on the sixth day of the creation story, and the creation of the humans was told in the sixth tablet of the Enuma Elish. Unlike the biblical creation story where we do not know of God's origins, in Enuma Elish we can see how the gods were created. Later on in the story, a large internal conflict happened with the gods in Enuma Elish, which ended up with the death of the two first gods, Tiamat and Apsu. After Marduk slays Tiamat, he then makes the heaven and earth with Tiamat's corpse. The gods then killed Tiamat's champion, Kingu, whose blood would later be used to create humans to serve the gods and assist them in keeping order in the world. In Enuma Elish, we can see that everything was made from something and wasn't just magically brought into existence. The Enuma Elish creation has more depth than the biblical creation story. The authors of the Pentateuch got some inspiration from this story and then wrote the Pentateuch. In the first chapters of the Pentateuch, God created everything from nothingness in order to show that their God was more powerful than the other gods.